Let me drink these Jeff Nippard approved BCAAs to quench my fucking palate, you know.
Okay, sure. Nice.
And my
We got to do
balls are out right now, so tell me not to stand up if I start standing up because my balls are out.
the okay.
Okay, very good, very good.
That's your cluster
So,
deck.
dude, the cluster dextrin I ran out. It's above my budget. I've just been using Gatorade powder.
Okay.
Probably a 3% loss in my optimal, vascularity in my biceps or whatever. But I'm here with the world's strongest landscaper, Buck Tow Truck. Now, first of all, you are 7 feet tall and 500 pounds.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Okay,
Yep.
good. And I think you RDL about 700 pounds.
Not quite. Maybe I'll get there one day. Yesterday's was 557 for
Good God.
yeah.
Yeah, for several. For several at least. Yeah, those old videos of you just with the hair, my hair's kind of going in your direction, so I'm keeping it long until it as it inches back. But when you had like the long hair and you were just doing like repping 500 on RDLs in that garage and grunting, I mean that's epic. And I don't think it's gotten enough attention in the lifting community.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Maybe like people they like the cleaner look because most of these lifts they're in commercial gyms or at least these gyms that real gyms. It's not some like dirty ass garage. And maybe there's something to do with that, or I don't hashtag well enough. Or I have no idea why my videos don't really catch on.
Yeah, I don't get it. I feel that way about a lot of the channels that I'm interested in, which I mean, maybe that says something more about me and my idiotic tastes, but like that is real. That's what I want to watch when I go onto YouTube for lifting, is it's in your garage, the rack's rattling, you re-rack it and it looks like it's going to tip over those squat stands. I'm so terrified for you. You're in the fucking cowboy boots squatting. What did you get up to when you were doing those 20 rep squats?
I did 495 for 20.
That's fucking sickening. Sickening. Yeah. And what were you weighing? I mean, were you 500 or had you dropped some weight for that?
No, it wasn't 500. I was 278.
278. Fuck, man.
278 when I did that. Yeah.
What would you say are like the sets you're most proud of? Like, because sometimes, you have like a set of three that's better than what you've hit it for a one rep max. So, like, what would be your best for squat, bench, press, deadlift?
So deadlift, there's two that are kind of on par with one another, but at my strongest, like the 661 for 10, that one, and I have one of those, only one of those is hitched, and it's not a bad hitch. It's not like some of these guys that drag it up their legs.
Yeah.
They like rebend the knees a lot, and then they, their back's like this, and then they drag it up
Oh,
their legs.
yeah. Yeah.
Mine's not like that, but at 801 for two, but at the 801 for two size, which was about 10 pounds heavier than when I did 661 for 10, the 801 for two, my potential with 661 would have been higher. But those are my two
Yeah.
best deadlifts. And then I did for squat, let's see, I did 574 for 10 reps, and that's one I don't have recorded. 574 for 10 reps, no knee sleeves, high bar. But when it's recorded, I've got 495 for 20 in sleeves, and then I've got 495 for 18 without sleeves. Bench press, I did 400 for three sets of five, and then my, I guess overhead press, because that's another one of my. I don't really do that many lifts, and so overhead press, but the best
Yeah.
set is like 317 for four.
That's amazing. Yeah, I just watched Joey Zatmary. He's like a strongman based in Pennsylvania, and he, strict pressed 300, and it took about 12 seconds. So just to scale that, he's a professional strongman, and you're pressing 317 for four out of your garage rack is it's insane. You've taken a really bare bones approach. It seems like pretty much your entire lifting career. I mean, you do those four lifts and pull-ups. Am I right?
Oh, and Romanian deadlifts, but that's what I do now.
RDLs.
Before I would do a bunch
Yeah.
of goofy ass shit. I did a
Okay.
lot. my training for years. My it's only been the last 4 years and a bit that I've had decent training where I just it was more, I guess, specialized, or I'm just doing the starting strength method basically, where you just
Yeah.
take the basic lifts and then you add more weight each time, and then eventually you got to like cut back a little bit. You're still making progress, or for me, I had to cut back on my original bulk because I got too fat. And then my next bulk is when I started using steroids. And then anyways, but my training before for years, I do like heavy walking lunges. I would do dips. I used to do a lot of Olympic weightlifting. I would do
Okay.
the
I didn't
Bulgarian
know that.
method. I would
Yeah.
do the Bulgarian method, which doesn't work. It doesn't work if you're like a normal person and you don't
Right.
use steroids.
Yeah.
And all it did was just make my squat go down, because it's you're so fatigued, because you're maxing, you're going as heavy as you can every day with the clean
Yeah.
jerk and snatch. And by the time you get to squat, you're so fatigued that you can't make any progress on it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And probably, I mean, Rippetoe would say that fives are the perfect balance of strength and hypertrophy stimulus. And, if you're just maxing out every day, you might not be getting quite enough volume to keep your legs around. I don't know how you feel about that.
The Bulgarian guys are already elite lifters before, like when you see
Sure.
them on the team, they're already elite lifters. And then they are they they do their method is where they do like a session of clean and jerk, and they work up to like a single, and
Mhm.
they back off like two doubles.
Yeah.
Then they take a break for half an hour, and then they do the snatch, and then take a break for half an hour, and then they'll do like a back squat or a front squat and that same sort of thing. And then they have another training session like that later in the day, maybe go even heavier. And then they using steroids. And also, Amir Abadjiev said that he would just tell people to eat whatever the hell they want. The more, the better. Like drinking
Yeah.
pops.
Right.
Yeah, but that does work. And then, but you gotta, maybe you can't go too crazy if you have to make weight. But I mean, some of those guys like Antonio Krastev, you can tell he was doing he had a little bit of a dirty diet,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's off for him.
Yeah.
At
A
least for
little
I
bit.
don't know what he did after lifting too much, but he was. And then the thing that inspired me to do that originally was Antonio Krastev came to America, and he coached, or he worked with John Bros of Las Vegas, the Average Bros Gym.
Yeah.
I saw those guys doing crazy lifts, and that was their thing, where they're squatting every day. And I don't think John Bros had the guys using steroids, but like Pat Mendez, and there's like two or three other guys, genetic freaks. Like Pat Mendez was 19 years old, or maybe 20 years old, and he snatched. I think he did a 206 kilogram snatch with straps in the gym, and he did an 800 pound high bar squat. It was like his ass hit his heels, and so I was doing the squat every day thing for a while, but
Yeah.
especially once you get, I tried that when I was older too. I tried that, uh, I don't know, 2019 or whatever. That also doesn't work when you get older, because eventually you just can't recover, and you're back
Yeah.
and you're stiff as a board.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that those Bulgarians probably didn't have the best longevity either. If there's not a back injury, the liver failure catches up eventually from just perpetual D-ball. But that
Yeah,
might have been a factor. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know that these. Like Antonio Krastev came to America. He was an elite weightlifter in those
Uh-huh.
Soviet countries. You get paid. You get a salary from the state for doing these lifts and whatever. And so you're not, when he comes to America, he has to do some like low tier, uh, I don't know, bitch work job. I think he worked at a
Oh
bar,
God. Yeah.
or maybe and so yeah, I don't know how it worked out for them, but because some guys can kind of turn it around, become coaches, whatever. And,
Yeah, but
like,
most of us fade into obscurity.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just the rhetorical us. I'm not including myself in the as in the tier of Bulgarian lifters. I just mean as people, we all generally fall short of our expectations and just end up living disappointing lives, I think. So maybe that's a topic for another. podcast.
Well,
Maybe that's because I just turned 30, man, and I'm just reassessing where I'm at, working three minimum wage jobs with a doctorate. So
what's your doctorate in?
the worst thing you could get it in, the least useful thing, creative writing.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
so
I mean,
basically English.
well, I mean, it's I mean, if I was Stefan Molyneux, I could probably make a good case for it. But I've got my brains on power. I have I got a big head but a small brain. So, but anyways, I mean, there's worse things you could have. I mean, there's people that have doctorates in philosophy, and that's kind of like what
You
the
think that's worse?
for most of the, I mean, uh, those people are generally, I don't know, they the people that I've seen are like more relativists and whatever. And that's more of a character thing. I don't know how much money they're going to make after they get out of school, but unless they go
Sure.
into academia, they don't do anything, and they go into like the typical thing you'd expect, like they work at Starbucks or whatever. I don't know,
Right.
where do you?
Yeah. Dude, I just got off of Jimmy John's, drove straight home from the shift with like 47 quarters in my pocket. And then I work at a grocery store and I also work at a storage unit, which is kind of a great job. I just do like front desk stuff at the storage facility. So I have a lot of time to myself
Yeah.
to kind of read and stuff. But, I did it because I liked it, wanted to teach. Through the course of being a graduate instructor, I learned that maybe I don't want to teach as much as I thought. And so here I am reassessing my life. But that's a topic for a different day, really, I suppose. So what made you switch from just chaotically doing Bulgarian method and walking lunges to a more kind of bare bones approach in your lifting?
Um, I in 2019, I started I started going to the gym every day with this guy I went to high school with, and then I decided I was going to bulk up, and then I looked up there's like 20 rep squat program where you
Yeah.
do, and it's like 3 days a week, and you pick this weight to start out, and you add 5 pounds per workout, and you'll I don't know, it goes up by like 85 pounds or something. It doesn't really work unless you have already a decent squat because you can't go up by 5 pounds each workout. I suppose you could uh, change the jumps if you like, let's say
Right.
your max 300, but I don't really that sort of program does work a bit, but it's more of like building willpower because 20 rep squats suck. And anyways, I did that program, and that program has like high rep stuff. You're doing like sets of 10 for bench, and you're doing your Romanian delts with 50 sets of like 15, and then there's, I think, overhead press or bent over rows or something. And I finished that program. I did 420 for 20 reps. That was when I was natural, and I was like 270 something pounds. And then after that, I switched to doing, I had been listening to the Starting Strength podcast for a while. So that's how I learned about that sort of method. I've read a bit of the books, but not too much. So I learned all like Mark Rippetoe's sort of methodology from the podcast. And so then I just incorporated that into the training. I switched the heavy sets of 5, and then yeah, just carried on from there. I brought back in the 20 rep squats because I started developing a lot of IT band pain, and I noticed that I never had any pain doing the 20 rep squat program,
Right.
and so I was just doing the 20 for my squat days. I would do the 20 reps, and so I did a bunch of 20 rep squat progressions. Plus, all the other lifts were just like the lower rep stuff,
Mhm.
and that's why my squat never really got too crazy because with my the 20 hour squat program doesn't really make you that strong.
Right.
I basically
Yeah.
got stronger because I, my deadlift was going up, and then I also used steroids, and so um, my squat still is decent, I guess, the 574 for 10 reps, um, but it should be like 650 for 6 or 7 reps, something like
So
that.
sure, like based on like relative to your other lifts and kind of your rep work, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If I had been training it the properly, like the low reps or sets of five, instead of
Yeah.
doing 20 rep squat programs a bunch of times in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not that I am married to the whole effective rep shit, but I do think that there's a point where it's like 20 rep squats are so hard. But if you just look at the total like tonnage lifted, you're doing 20 reps, you know, with weight that you would do way more. I mean, your weight would be a lot higher if you did 5 by 5, and you'd be getting 5 more reps, like working reps, right? So you
Yeah.
probably, I could see how that carries over better to absolute strength, and it's more specific working with fives, you know, than with that high rep range, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, I mean, just the stress, the heavy weights just break the muscles down way more.
Yeah.
And that's why that's generally better. And people that don't think I do a lot of volume, they see me, they do I do like one heavy set of deadlift each week, and people say I've got like a minimalist approach. I don't know if they're saying like I don't do that many working sets, because frankly I don't. But I
Yeah.
mean, once you get to a certain level, you can't really recover if you're doing multiple sets like that each week.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think people have no concept of the difference between benching 300 and benching 405 for 3 sets of 5, you know, like even that. And I mean, let alone to have 600 or 700 pounds in your hands and that loading through your spine, you know, or on your back, right? That's just so different than squatting 2/3 of that or whatever, you know, speaking
Right.
as someone who squats 2/3 of that, right? So it's like, yeah, you know, I cannot imagine what the stress is on, you know, so many systems that I don't have the names for, but just compressing your spine and your central nervous system that everybody likes to talk about. But yeah.
Yeah, the central nervous system, sort of fatigue people talk about. I don't really. It's really hard to quantify that, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's kind of like uh it's I don't even know. It's like, well, I mean, you can, after you do the lift, you probably don't lose a certain percentage. You can probably still do like 90%. Let's say I
Yeah.
do A1 for later in the day. I'd probably still be able to do like, if I waited a few hours, because that's another thing, is you got to be mentally prepared. But that
Sure.
aside, like 2 hours later, I could still probably do 90% of that, no problem.
Yeah.
And but I mean, it's like you can still walk, you can do everything else. So I don't see how this central nervous system is fatigued. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay. So you're skeptical.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, I just deadlifted 801. I can't drive. You can't drive.
Right.
Yeah.
You feel like your hands get shaky and stuff. Sometimes I get that after I've done something like heavy for me, you know.
No, I don't get that. I
Yeah, you just have strong hands, you know, all that landscaping.
oh yeah. Well, I don't. I mean, sometimes no, I don't really get shaky hands. I
Yeah.
get like head and stuff like that. I
Okay.
remember in my overhead press the other day. I was gonna hit the freaking floor if I didn't drop that bar. I've done it before.
Yeah.
The bar, I do
Uh-huh.
re-rack it, but
Yeah.
holding onto the bar, I'm still shaking. It's
Uh-huh.
like I'm like a noodle, or I'm like blowing around in the wind. And I figure, I'm like, oh, if I'm
Yeah.
holding onto the bar, I'll be okay. But my legs aren't even going to stay up. So what happened one time
Yeah.
was or maybe I didn't even re-rack the bar, I just dropped it, and then I
Yeah.
was just out across the bar and the cross member of my squat stand. Yeah,
And that's
that's
how Chad found you. That's how your brother found you. Right.
there's he's been out there he was recording me one time, and where I
Okay.
maxed out, I re-racked it, and then because I know eventually I know what the feeling is of me, like
Yeah.
about, I know what the feeling is going to be, so I just get down on my hands and knees, because it's
Yeah.
better if I just preemptively do that than just fall out and knock my teeth out like you see in these gym fails videos.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That'll give you a phobia. Just 3 scrolls down the Instagram page with that shit. I try to stay away from it.
Yeah, I like watching these people get. Some people have like a fetish when they see these sorts of they like look for the injuries. The ones
Yeah.
where the people getting their knees hyperextended, or the
That one
Ryan
gets me.
Carly pec tear, the Ryan
Yeah.
Carly pec tear from a few years ago.
Uh,
That one made me afraid of maxing out bench.
yeah.
Incline bench is a little more dangerous just because you're so stretched out. So maxing out
Sure.
an incline is a terrible idea. I wouldn't even do
Yeah.
incline, but um, yeah, that's I remember Sam Hyde. Some people maybe it's that sort of era where you go through you watch Live Leak or
Yeah.
one of these other like website with like 4chan and stuff like this, and people are just desensitized to this sort of thing, and then
Yeah.
they like seeing it. I was watching the Sam Hyde stream, and there was these guys driving an old car,
Oh.
and the brakes failed, and they're going fast, and they ran into the back of another car, and there's a camera on the inside of the car filming
Mm.
them as they're approaching it, and they get totally freaking wrecked because it's some old car. There's no airbags, and
Yeah.
one guy, the one guy just gets like knocked off of the dashboard so hard, and Sam Hyde kept on playing it back and forth, back. He kept on playing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Man,
Sam
it's got
hides a
well,
lot.
boomers, and
Yeah.
boomers are so unlikable that
Sure.
yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, the injury stuff I try to avoid that. So you got to see
Yeah.
up half their wheels videos, because
Y-
the curse of Barry wheels is a thing. It seems.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's because what I've heard is he kind of doesn't really train seriously until he's getting ready to do some big lift, and then he'll try and make up ground for like 12 weeks, you know?
Yeah, definitely. He or like for the last, he was doing a powerlifting thing. Everyone was really excited for it. He goes on vacation for two
Yeah.
weeks, for 2 weeks, and though you don't really, he doesn't really look. If it was a normal person, then you'd probably know intuitively by looking yourself in the mirror that you're not the same as you were 2 weeks ago because you haven't been training for 2 weeks. And
Right.
but him, he's like super jacked all the time. He's basically like he's like a sculpture, and
Yeah.
so he and then he's got to do this for content, whatever. And so, yeah, the last time he wasn't trained for 2 weeks, he goes back into the gym and he does the weight that he was supposed to do 2 weeks ago, like the weight that, let's say, it's 5 pounds more than his
Yeah.
last work. And then I don't know what he does. I think he like tweaked his back or something, or tore his lat. And then there was the time before that was a quad tear. Yeah. And some of these guys have such good genetics that they don't even have to train that hard. And
Right.
they're like still like I could still I'll never be like them, no matter how many drugs I took or how hard I trained or how much food I ate. I'd still never be like them. Like Jamal Browner, I don't really think he trains all that hard.
Really.
Well, if you look at his sets, it's just like my deadlift sets are way harder than that.
You do
You
get
got
like very
it's like oh
primal.
400
Uh,
kilos, and it's just like he just picks it up like it's 405.
yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. I wonder if some of that is the sumo kind of witchery, and there's something about I feel like to me a high bar squat is the kind of lift where you hit a very hard sticking point, and like it might look fast, but there's a very clear line where you don't get it anymore. I don't know if you feel that way because as someone who's ground out a lot of high bar squats, but I wonder if sumo's the same way.
Oh, I have no idea. I see other sumo guys, and it looks hard for them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh,
That's fair. But yeah, that is interesting. People don't talk about how sensitive you are to like a stimulus as part of talent, but that absolutely is the case, right? Like you could just I mean, to take it to an extreme, you could go in there and do some tricep extensions, and if you're Julius Maddox, you can probably just bench 405 off of push downs or something.
oh yeah, well yeah, uh, probably like there's
Yeah,
people apparently Andy Bolton's first deadlift workout he deadlifted like 600 pounds or something like that.
that's so crazy.
And yeah, that's people, well, they watch too much anime, and so they're like, oh, they think of like One Punch Man. Well, not maybe One Punch Man, but it's basically, or Dragon Ball Z. It's like if you train
Mm,
enough in the hyperbolic time chamber, then through your will, if your will's strong enough, then you can do anything. So, but yeah, that's not how neuromuscular. You're not going to get a 40-inch vertical jump, no matter how many box jumps you do or how many quarter squats you
yeah,
do with 8 pounds. No one will tell you these things. Mark Rippetoe tells.
right.
That's why I learned about neuromuscular efficiency. But coaches
Yeah,
don't tell you these things because they they don't want the secret to be out, because then they'll be out of a freaking job.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The vast conspiracy. I really see that or maybe experience that kind of drastic limitation thing. Having gone from, I was a really serious like endurance runner and triathlete. And I was like relatively good at that. And just when I think back, when I was 15, I was running like a 5K faster than most people will ever run a 5K in their life, like no matter how hard they train, right? But and then like I switched to strength sports a few years ago. I recognize that there are so many levels that I probably just, I mean, I can improve quite a bit from the shitty level that I'm at, but there's so many levels beyond my own capability, even if I were to max out my own potential for whatever reason that is, if it's because I have tiny wrists or just I'm slow twitch dominant or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, just the vast array of diversity and kind of ability level gets set out at birth, I guess.
pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's I mean, there's probably some room where you could be like a less talented athlete, but through hard work you can make up disparity between you and, let's
yeah,
say, uh, it's like Ben Shapiro says. He's like he's like, I'm not in the NBA because I'm a 5'9" Jew.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
He'd still mog me though. I'm 5'8".
well, 5'8". Okay.
Yeah, I went from like I was 125 3 years ago. I was doing Ironman triathlons and I got up to like 215 in January. Um, and I definitely got a lot stronger because of that.
Yeah.
Right now I'm like 190 and I'm going down because I decided to do this local strongman show and there's a 180 class. And so I was already kind of losing weight because it's fucking hot. I live in Tallahassee and it's humid as shit and I'm on my feet all day working. So I was like, why don't I just see if I can make that weight class? But my squat has definitely suffered and my bench has suffered. I think I'll
Okay.
survive though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't even strongman. You don't even do squats anyways.
That's right.
And
Yeah, you like press some weird block over your head or something. And I have no access to the equipment, so it'll be interesting. I'm sure I'll drop it on my face and break some teeth. So yeah, that'll be good.
yeah, well, I mean, then that can be your gimmick where you're like, I don't know, the toothless. It'll be the toothless podcast, or
Oh,
it'll be
that's
like
good.
there's
Yeah.
no law. It'll be toothless aggression.
Uh-huh.
You can, yeah,
So is that going to make me more like a pirate to be toothless?
probably. Well,
Yeah,
it
that's
depends.
good.
He's scurvy. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I got to
and
stop eating an orange every day. I usually have an orange a day. Take that out, get the scurvy.
let's drink rum, and
Absolutely.
I don't know what else pirates do. I'm not too familiar with. Well, you got
Get
to
a
grow
few
your beard.
amputations. What's that? Grow
Yeah,
the beard out?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Blackbeard used to tie candles in his beard, which seems like a little bit the wrong vibe. I feel like that's like more of a Prince vibe than like a, I'm going to rape you vibe. Which I mean, that was kind of the pirate thing, I feel like.
Yeah,
Was a lot of the threat, boarding your ship, but the unspoken threat.
yeah. Well, apparently he set his beard on fire to scare people. So
Right.
he's ahead of his time. He should have been like, if he was alive today, he'd probably have his own like shock rock sort of thing. Well, maybe not today because that's
Totally.
not more, but he'd be like Alice Cooper.
Yes, definitely. Maybe Marilyn Manson, maybe edging
Oh,
into that, yeah, yeah. But hard to know. Pirate history is very important. I kind of wish I knew more about it.
yeah.
So you've never competed, right? You've never done like a powerlifting competition?
No, no,
No interest?
no, no, not at this point. No.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, it's because my T bands are still screwed up, and they're actually
that's
worse than
fair.
they were, and so I have to get that figured out because
Okay.
the heavier the weight, the heavier you go in squats, the more it freaking hurts,
Yeah.
and you can't be in this. Well, what I plan to do is get a physiotherapist to do an IT band release. Hopefully that works.
Okay.
Apparently there's a surgery for it, but I'd rather just have the pain, let some doctor potentially mess me up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the squat's the thing that's holding me back. And then if I wanted to do deadlifts, I'd have to switch to hook grip because I used to do switch grip, but this wrist is
Uh,
grip. I can't even supinate it enough to hold
oh,
on to.
wow. Yeah.
Because like like
that
that's as far as I can
that
go.
looks like, yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but I can't supinate it all the way. So the grip's terrible in this hand
Uh,
because not
okay.
the fingers aren't all on the bars they should be.
That's weird. Yeah, hook grip fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, it's hard to you can't really do. You'd have to train with straps and then maybe do like a single heavy single once in a while to make
Right.
sure that you're capable of holding on to that. But doing like
Yeah.
regular, if let's say you're doing like your set of 5 each week, a set of 5 with hook grip, that freaking I've tried that before. That sucks.
Yeah.
Or I've done it
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
agony. I do like my last warm-up hook grip sometimes, intending to like do my working sets with it, and I'd say no, it feels too bad. And I feel like I'd lose I wouldn't get as much stimulus because I'd have to drop my weight down. So I'd rather
Oh yeah.
just pull with cheater straps.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, the deadlift isn't about training your grip. It's about what people say that you
Right.
want to do on top of that. Although if you I don't think that switching to straps has affected my grip at all because that's more like a I don't know. It's like it seems like once your body gets to, as it gets stronger in the deadlift, then for some reason your fingers or whatever that it
Yeah.
just it gets stronger without actually having to do the the holds as people do, or
Right.
uh, yeah, I think I could still deadlift 700 for a 5 with the switch grip if I could get my freaking
Wow.
hand on.
You could.
I think I did like 570 or something like that
Oh,
with the switch grip for 15 reps.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, so grip strength isn't a limiter then. Why would you not supinate the other hand? Why wouldn't you go underhand with the one that you can turn this way?
Oh, this bicep would probably tear. I did it for so many
Okay.
years. This arm's way stronger.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Yeah. Yeah.
This arm is like this is like Hellboy. This is his big
Uh
ass like arm.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How do you get the
and I
forearms so jacked though?
oh well I did just a shitload of chin ups and
Yeah.
steroids. Yeah. And then I did so many of the that's basically the only thing I'm holding on to. Well, except for all my deadlift forearms, but that's just like one
Yeah.
rep. And it's mostly you just do a lot of chin ups and then you gain weight. You gain weight slowly.
Right.
My forearms aren't really that big. They're like pump the biggest they've been is like 17 and a half, 17, 17 and a half.
That's pretty fucking big,
But they are.
man. A
I
17 and a
don't
half
care.
inch bicep is big.
Some guys said I had small arms and I need to do some regular barbell curls and easy
Uh,
bar or skull crushers to fix my skinny arm issue. It's a genetic thing. I have long arms,
sure.
and
Yeah.
I don't even care. I did a strict curl to the barbell with 185, and I mean that's not like world class, but I mean it's probably more than that guy could freaking do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, Jeff Nippard would say you have to do like a lengthened partials, cable, supinated behind the back, incline curls.
Oh, probably, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then you have to do, all you have to use the cuff. So you're not using your forearm. You just have to put the cuff around your wrist that girls use to train their ass, Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's probably what you're missing.
yeah, yeah. The key is to have really short limbs, and then your muscle belly's like
Right.
huge, like Leap Beast. There's talk
Yeah.
about genetics. That guy,
Yeah.
that guy, that guy's training's terrible. Like he does little
Yeah.
baby weights and whatever. Apparently, flexibility was the same thing. You do baby weights, don't even go that
Yeah.
hard. And so you couple that with a little bit of I believe Lee Priest when he says he hasn't used that many androgens.
Yeah.
If you saw pictures when he was a kid, he's freaking jacked.
Yeah.
And these guys are just that are genetic freaks. They just look at weights. Like Nexzilla. Nexzilla was doing
Yeah.
I think 75-kilo dumbbell
Mhm.
incline press, and he's like 320 pounds of solid muscle.
That's
That's
crazy.
as
Yeah.
big as my thigh.
Yeah, and so some people are just so predisposed to be sensitive to like any stimulus that they're gonna grow off of just warm up weight, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It is crazy. And yeah, like the muscle insertions too. I mean, just in addition to having long arms, some people, like if they flex their bicep, you can put like 3 or 4 fingers between their bicep and their elbow. And it's like, you can't change that. I mean, that's just where your tendon inserts, right? So, how much do you think you're getting out of those coveralls that you haven't washed for 7 years? I mean, that's pretty much a multi-ply kind of suit at this point.
Oh, oh, you mean the green one or
Yeah,
the
well, you got two, right? You've got, yeah, two pairs. Am I thinking
yeah,
wrong?
well,
I'm colorblind
I got
anyway, so
the denim one,
yeah.
uh, and then I've got my green one, and that's more like a there's like the smokers, they got their lucky cigarette they put in upside
Right.
down. Though I don't know, I ordered those originally because it was freaking cold, and then
Yeah,
I using those because it just made me feel tight because my
sure.
pants are attached to my shirt,
Uh,
and yeah, but they're retired now. They're too worn out. The thighs are all ripped up,
really?
and something a teenage girl would wear. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe you can tithe them to your next Tinder match.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Good gift. You could advertise. Probably the most impressive Tinder bio I've ever seen posted online, I have to say, is yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, frankly, I didn't. It's pretty good, but I didn't get the results that
So
I was looking for.
I don't understand what these women are looking for. 7 feet, 500 pounds, beautiful, beautiful hair.
Yeah,
So classic.
they're probably just jealous. They don't, it makes
Yeah,
they, if you're too good looking, then the women feel insecure. This is what
right.
I've heard.
Yes.
So that's what Then they bring up things like the psy-op of the dad bod.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, those girls actually want that. You mean I don't have to do it? They want me to have like breasts and a pot belly. It's like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a mind
That's not
fuck.
really,
As
I don't think
always.
that's anymore. That was maybe like 6, 7 years ago. Yeah. I never had a dad.
But you might be a dad. We're not sure.
Oh wow.
You don't know what you seeded in the world in your
Oh
past.
well. There's another podcast for a
Fair
different day.
enough. Yeah, fair enough. So aside from being incredibly fucking strong, you run a landscaping business and you are like a virtuoso on the guitar.
Well, what happened here? Oh shit. What's this crap?
Switch the angles. Muscle confusion. It's good.
It's good now.
Yeah, that's
See,
actually a better angle. I think it's more intimidating.
true,
Okay.
true, yeah. For
Yeah,
some
yeah,
reason,
there we go.
I got like, who the heck's trolling me? That other phone. It seriously
Yeah.
it made like every single they say imperfection, which is like a euphemism, but every single thing on my face that's ugly, it's like it puts a magnifying glass on that. And so,
No,
but this one's a little better.
okay. I
But
don't know.
well,
You
I
have
can't.
you have strong features. I think that what you feel like is ugly, it's just it's a masculine feature on your face, you know?
Well, what a giant forehead.
Forehead, it's a strong forehead and it's a bold
Oh,
nose.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, you don't want to. Yeah, a big nose. I mean,
Lead with
like
the
I mean,
nose. What's it?
I get clothes on people with my nose.
Totally. Yeah.
I can't remember what was your question. I got the screen went black. What was your question before I
Oh,
started
no.
moving?
Well, you got a lot going on, man. I know you run the
Yeah,
landscaping business. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, well, the landscape business is just me, but yeah, I
Okay.
do. I'm
Yeah.
working long days, and it's been pretty good. And I like to eventually, you know, I like making videos. It would be good to
Yeah.
eventually do this sort of the YouTube thing full time, but or I'd have like, well, I mean, if people want advice for lifting, whatever, I just give it out for free. Um, but yeah, the landscaping thing is okay. I like to move around, and then for the guitar, I'm okay at guitar. I'm not like Steve Vai or something like that, but I really like. I really love music, and so it's that I still will record music, and like my intros that I did, that's all my music, and
So
I have my
classic.
stuff. I've got my Dino synth music. Uh, yeah, it's I don't know. I've other than that, I don't really have any other hobbies. There's films and whatever like that, but yeah, I was
Wrestling.
oh yeah, well I like wrestling, but
Yeah.
wrestling is more like there's memories because I don't watch
Okay.
wrestling.
It's
Wrestling is
nostalgic for you.
yeah. Like I mean that's the only thing that keeps wrestling alive now because people
Yeah.
modern wrestling's terrible, and then the guys that were wrestling when you were a kid are freaking grandpas now.
Right.
And another thing is that the business has kind of been, the terms are people that the term that they call people or they give people that know that the things are like the endings are predetermined. Um, they call them marks. And so basically, if you're over the age of 7 now, then you're a mark. And um, I mean, it's in that was like the early '90s when Vince McMahon came out. And he's like, oh, because he didn't want to pay tax, and so he doesn't say it's a sport; it's actually sports entertainment, and so it's a soap opera and whatever. And he spills the beans because he didn't want to pay taxes. But I mean, the thing that kept the like saved it for a while was just the characters and the storylines. And wrestling doesn't have that anymore. And so the thing that's keeping wrestling alive now is just that era, the '90s, maybe the '80s too, but mostly the
Sure.
'90s era of wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Monday Night Wars, Undertaker, Kane, these sorts of things, and ECW. I mean, it was in the early to mid 2000s. It was still pretty good, and that's when I watched because I wasn't allowed to
Okay.
watch when I was young because my parents hear these horror stories of some guy, some kid, like pile driving his sister, or he frog splashes his sister and breaks her spine. So they figured I would have done it to my brother. Oh,
Yeah.
I did that later on. I'd like power bomb Chad or
Is that why he's so much shorter than you? Because you
yeah,
like compressed his spine? Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah. Just 5 pile drivers will do that to you. He would probably be 7 feet tall, but he's 5'1".
Yeah,
He's not
yeah.
5. No, no. Chad's 5'6", and I think he's a little over 5'6". I remember he was really happy that I think he's like 5'6.5". He was happy that he got that extra half inch
Nice.
because my joke is that let's say we're watching a movie and some guy comes on, he's short. I'm like, yeah, that guy's so short. He's probably like 5'6". And yeah,
But he beat out the movie star manlet thing. So he's like
yeah,
halfway between me and Jeff Nippard.
true.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jeff Nippard, what is he like? He's like 4'10". He sounds like he's
He
4'10". Imagine having that
yeah, the
voice.
voice is really distinct. It's very
Yeah.
distinct. Yeah. He
My
sounds
known voice,
like
the known voice that is more listenable than his real voice.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, every video he starts off, he's like, I looked at 17 different studies, and this is what I found about maximizing muscle hypertrophy in the rear deltoids. Jeff Nippard does have some lovers looks. They were coming into my video and they were saying like, I'm I don't know, old looking, ugly, out of breath. Yeah, they probably can't even freaking deadlift 405. They're breaking my balls.
Right, yeah. The ad hominems. Yeah, that whole corner of YouTube seems to be getting a lot of popularity right now. The people with letters behind their names pretending they can scientifically study, the best way to hypertrophy their shin muscles or whatever.
There's other things too. I got people commenting that they're telling me how to. I mean, sure, it's like surely if you know the secret method, then you have to display it. Okay, you can't just talk about these sorts of things. But
Right.
it's just all bullshit.
Well, when I found your channel, probably it was like December of 2023, and I was sitting in the bathroom, which is about 2 feet to my left because this is a 500 square foot apartment. And I would be laughing in the morning, and I would wake up my fiance sometimes, and she'd be like, "What are you laughing at 6:30?" And it was your shit, man. I'd just be taking a dump, and those videos, it's great. It's great. And so I encourage everyone to go give it a listen. And you do, I mean, if you make it through all 47 minutes of the daily uploads, you're going to come away with a lot of gems. You know, a lot of gems on training, a lot of gems on World of Warcraft, and gems on dating advice, I would say too. You know, there's a lot in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, at least like how to navigate, or well, not navigate, but so you can see what's out there in the wild. I don't know, the jungle, the dating jungle.
It makes the dating market seem so bleak, and I'm very glad that I'm hitched.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I hear that from everybody. The last two girls I went with, I should have been charging them talk therapy, like a hourly rate.
Yeah.
Holy shit, they're wrecked. I mean, you kind of have to find your unicorn in our age group, because the Gen Z is like a different species to the millennials, in my
Yeah.
experience.
What was first for you? Was it the wrestling, the music, or the lifting? I mean, when you were 12 years old, what was occupying your brain?
It was wrestling, and then the guitar came in high school when I was like
Okay.
16. I was listening to heavy metal, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to do listening to Metallica and Megadeth, and eventually my taste developed. I can't listen to that stuff,
Sure.
especially Metallica,
Yeah.
and then, well, the weightlifting started early on. I remember, well, I liked heavy metal early on, but I didn't start playing guitar until I was in my mid-teens, like when I was 16. I
Okay.
remember
Yeah.
my mom took me to a pawn shop, and I got this really crappy Fender Squire Strat, which is like one of the lowest quality guitars you could get, and also one of the least mellow guitars you could get. But I mean, I couldn't play at the time anyway, so it didn't matter. Because when you first play guitar, you sound like shit for months, and then eventually you can play something. It still sounds like shit, but
Yeah.
you have to play for so long before you can play something that doesn't sound like shit. So that's why these people they pick up instruments. I'm just like, okay, that thing's gonna be collecting dust in 2 weeks, because they think
Right.
that they picked up guitar because they heard this one song they like, and then they figure, oh, they don't recognize or realize the amount of work that you have to put in. It's not like
Yeah.
a piano. You have all the keys here, and you play this. Now you play a C, it's already intonated and whatever, and the octaves are right there for you. But guitar, you got to have intonated and tuned properly, and then you have to know how to pick. You have to know how to fret the note, and then you have hammer on. You have pull offs. You have slides, and then you have other techniques you can do later on, like pick slides and hit harmonics and whatever. But anyways, I listened to heavy metal. I remember I heard Enter Sandman when I was a kid. My mom was driving us somewhere. I heard Enter Sandman. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
That's like the coolest thing ever. And now if I hear Enter Sandman, it's like turn that shit off immediately. It's like Crazy Train.
Yeah.
Crazy Train. The first time you hear Crazy Train, like that song's freaking sweet. And then you go to like you go to like a baseball game or a hockey game or a football game,
Right.
and they play it 17 times,
Yeah.
and like in between plays and whatever, and then you've had enough Crazy Train. And so I started lifting weights kind of around the same time I was into wrestling, because I was fat and I wanted to get muscular, because I used to watch all these um, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and so that's what made me want to do. I'm like, how does someone even look like that? And my dad's like, oh,
Right.
work out. And so of course my dad knows nothing about working out, and so I was doing a bunch of stupid exercises and whatever. But I got some results out of it, and I ended up losing weight. I stopped, and I thinned out in high school because I stopped eating like a freaking animal, and I was eating like a goldfish. Basically, there was food in front of me, I would just eat it,
Yeah.
and so that's a kind of a good thing to learn early, because if you most people don't really learn any discipline, so then they slowly become more fat their entire lives, and they never thin out, and then they'll have the Dr. Agman body by
Yeah.
when they're like 6 years old.
Yeah, and by the time they want to address it, they haven't developed the skill set and the control to actually adhere to what they need to do, right? Whereas you're saying from the age of it, from being young, you had to implement those changes for yourself. So, I mean, not to be fucking to quote David Goggins, but discipline is trainable to some extent. So, you develop that early and you kind of
Yeah,
have that, I think, and you keep it.
yeah, yeah. The old people, it's like the boomers basically, because I don't know, I haven't been around too much of the generation before the boomers. I don't know what they're called,
Yeah.
generation, something like that. But yeah, the boomers, and another thing is like, if you tell these people about they're like cope, or their excuse to make is like, that's just getting old, or they feel like that they don't get to eat these treats and stuff like that, or then it's, life's not worth living.
Right.
And so anyways, uh yeah, I don't know about your high school, but my high school, it's like I'm kind of like fatter at the start of high school, and I thin out, and then I'm muscular at the end of high school. Everyone else is
Yeah.
thin at the start of high school, and then they've been, in like grade 10, they start drinking and smoking weed, and then once they get cars, and they go to McDonald's every day for lunch. By the end of
Yeah.
high school, lots of people are fat,
Uh,
and but almost everyone I went to high school is fat now.
yeah.
And so, um, but anyways, my story that I was going to tell, because this is kind of like one of my videos now, where I go in one segue and then I lose the plot. So hopefully you remember, what the hell's, you know where we started. But
Oh, I can fake it. I can fake it, but that's about
yeah,
it. So yeah.
I just remember. So I after wrestling, I got kind of into football, and the lifting still stayed. And what I would do, I just remember this, because to combine like weightlifting and my other tastes with heavy metal, I remember I would do my dumbbells. I would do like 21s with these dumbbells, and then I would do chest press on the floor, and then I do bent over. I do dumbbell rows, and I remember I would just loop "Ba Wit Da Ba" by Kid Rock over and over again, and then I'd make sure I start my set when he does his when like the drop happens. I can't remember exactly what that sounds like, but
Yeah.
the song we've been playing for like 40 minutes straight,
Yeah.
and that'd be my workout. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, in a way, that's like Zumba. Your workout's paced by the rhythm of the music. It's like
Yeah.
a 15-year-old boy's version of Zumba. So I imagine that part of why you stuck with lifting is that doing a heavy set maybe gives you the same feeling you got when you were in your mom's car and you heard the intro to Enter Sandman.
uh no, well,
Okay, fair enough.
no, I don't get really too much joy. I enjoy, completing it is what feels good, but when you're actually doing it,
Yeah,
then and the build up, that sucks. That
yeah,
sucks. But when you're doing the set, you get to a point like, after you started, then you just feel,
mhm,
it's just especially if it's a tough set, and
yeah,
you just feel resolved. Like when I do
mhm,
like, this, like when I was doing it's like, I have to do this many reps. Okay, I started.
mhm.
What the hell's gonna, like? I know how to lift weights. I know how to race. The worst thing that's gonna happen is that I can't fucking lift it. So it'll just, squats, I just dump it. Press, I
Yeah,
just drop it in front of me. Bench press, hopefully Chad's there. Well, you see me. I do with a
yeah.
bunch of reps where I'm like,
Oh
I like
yeah.
rear second hook.
And you just kind of jerk it. Yeah, the classic
And
technique.
deadlifts, and I just, it gets 2 inches off the floor, then goes back down.
Right.
So yeah, it's despite what people say, weightlifting is one of the safest endeavors
Yeah.
relative to other sports. One of my customers, I was talking to him. He does show jumping and bull riding, and he got thrown off of a horse, and he
Yeah.
landed on his hip, and his like ball socket of his femur immediately was shattered,
Jesus Christ.
and he broke some ribs, and he was internally bleeding,
Yeah.
and but then he had surgery on his femur. He's got a rod put in his leg, and then it's not
Yeah.
healing. So any sort of, like, I was thinking of that. He's got this issue. He's walking with
Yeah.
a cane. He's 46 years old. He's walking with a cane, and so I was thinking, like, my T-band pain, my like shitty wrist, and my my tears that I've had in my triceps. That's nothing compared to what that guy.
Yeah. Rodeo guys get fucked up. By the time they're 40, they're in the body of an 80-year-old who was a war veteran. I mean, those guys like can't shit straight for the rest of their lives. Their insides get all fucked up.
He did say it's a dumb sport. That
Yeah.
I guess he had to get totally screwed up before he realized that, maybe.
Yeah, I
That's
get it. There's a type of guy who has to do the thing that's like the hardest thing in their mind, I feel like. So I get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. But like it is funny, to your earlier point, people who are walking around because they got their knee blown out in football, getting tackled from the side, being like, yeah, lifting is so dangerous, you're gonna ruin your back. Where it's like there's so many other variables when you're playing a contact sport, like a team sport or something. and getting hit from any direction. I mean, lifting, there's not a lot going on, you know, and as long as you're not a complete dumbass, you're not going to get hurt in a way that takes you out for too long, right? Like the IT thing, that's a cumulative like thing that's been going on for you for a long time, right? It's not like you did a set and you did a rep wrong and that happened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the small tweaks that I've had, they're you either, you deal with them until they're healed, like back tweaks. I had this one thing wrong with my hip. And so I just did box squats for a while. That was like 2 weeks of box squats. But most of these little niggles that you get from weightlifting, they can just be trained through. And the IT band thing, the IT band, I'm not really worried about it. It's not going to break. IT band is so freaking strong. You could probably apparently it's like bridge wire. That's how strong it is. That's why the person working on it has to almost make you cry to break the because it sticks to your quads.
Yeah, IT band's very painful. I dealt with some of that. My dad did too, when we were doing like triathlon stuff. We used to go to this active release guy, you know, who's just like a snake oil guy, but kind of could press your body in the right way to where it hurt less. And yeah, getting that IT band released is brutal. Yeah. So I'm glad you have that to look forward to.
Yeah, I should film that. There is a need for that where people want to see you like in pain. Like there's this bodybuilding guy. He basically, he'll like flex, and then people do things to him like they got like a pressure washer 2 inches from his skin. So he's like, he sticks his arm out and he's flexing it with his shirt off, and they put the pressure washer like right in front of his skin, or they're shooting with paintballs from like 3 inches away. Imagine doing that for a career. But it'll, or you got these other guys, they go and get adjusted, and maybe there'll be a buck tow truck. Little physiotherapist girl makes buck tow truck cry. Maybe there'll be a video like that.
That would be good. Yeah, and it could lead to a loving and stable relationship too, I think. So there's also that, if you play your cards right.
Yeah.
You know, my fiance likes to pop my acne. I'm cultivating kind of a nice just crop of acne on my chest right now, and she just gets in there, and I think she enjoys making me wince. So some people are just wired that way.
I've heard of girls doing that, and I don't know. Yeah, does she enjoy it more if it's like a bigger zit?
Oh yeah, I think there's something satisfying about it. You know, like it bothers you to look at, so you want to get rid of it, right? And so maybe there's that's an aspect of it too. But yeah.
Oh, I figured she'd be one of these, because they also examine it too. It's the excretions. Some of them do that.
Sometimes at this point I ask her to do it. I kind of like the hurt. So that's led to a whole new form of foreplay for us.
Oh shit. If I had a girl like that when I had acne, then she'd have a field day. Because holy shit, did you see my acne video?
Oh yeah, the back for sure was really bad. Was it painful to squat?
If there was some on my traps, that would hurt. But the main issue with squats is the blood pressure would make all of the acne on my chest really inflamed. The blood pressure makes the acne hurt a lot.
Okay.
And that was the problem, because I do like my first set of squats and my shirt would be covered in blood. The back wasn't really too bad.
Pops,
and stuff on the neck. It's mainly like the neck and the chest that get really affected by the blood pressure.
I had one on the bottom of my chest, like right where I touched the bar when I benched the other day, and it just, I mean, I was setting it off every fucking rep, and I paused my benches too, like a fucking pencil neck. So it was just sitting there like the knurling, and man, it looked like I'd been sniped. You know, I just had a circle of blood right here.
Yeah, that's it. And that's another thing, is that it's like, that's I remember I had it. It was like right where this is the solar plexus. So I put the bar there, and it's like, of course, the acne has to be there. It has to be there. I mean, it's always, and then you go in the trap. It's like, okay, you had the rest of the back. You had to be there. The really inflamed thing. Chad had the chest acne too. Are you on TRT now or something? Okay.
Yeah, recently. So I think that's what has sort of sprung it to life for me.
Yeah, well,
but I'll take it. I'll take feeling better to and having some acne than the prior state. So
Oh yeah. When I don't know about you, but when I was, I assumed I was on low T because my
Mhm.
sleep was shit
Yeah.
for like a year and a half,
Mhm.
and sleep probably, other than getting like kicked in the balls,
Yeah.
sleep probably ruins your T levels, or bad sleep ruins your T levels more than
Yeah.
anything. And so I remember when I took it, I just felt like awakened, and then I
Yeah.
felt like I did when I was 17.
Mhm.
Because before, you have like brain fog, or like for me, it was perpetual brain fog,
Yeah.
and I felt that way for years, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, I felt like my I was firing all the cylinders again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got blood work done. My total T was like 230. I don't know if you know the range, but it's like nanograms per deciliter. And it's like the range that's like 80-year-old guy
Yeah,
testosterone, like 230 total. So I've been on HCG, which is like you just
yeah,
use a little insulin syringe and you stick it into your stomach, and it just tells your balls to get bigger. And so that like put me up around 900, and I kind of have hung out there. So that's been a huge improvement for just my quality of life. And like you said, I can focus better. I'm more productive, sleep more soundly. So yeah, it's been good. More
yeah. It's
acne for my to bring me together with my fiance so she can pop it. So just all positive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, taking ACG is better than doing TRT because TRT
Yeah.
will affect fertility and
Sure.
atrophy your balls.
Yeah.
HCG make you like to grow, you produce more sperm, and then you also get the benefits of having a higher test. I've never heard of people doing. Well, I've heard of HCG monotherapy, but generally it's just
Yeah.
they just put some TRT.
No, I mean I did my endocrinologist is like HCG monotherapy. Let's try that. And so that's what we've been doing.
Yeah,
I'm about to hop off though because my insurance is fucked. I think because I ended school and like it's changing or something. And I just got a bunch of like backdated bills for blood work that I wasn't supposed to have to pay for. So I just can't afford it. So I'll see what happens then. I'll probably feel really shitty again.
I mean, I suppose you could go the. Well, it's going to be really tough, with these environmental toxins. And basically, everything is like it's like a constant barrage of blows to your endocrine system.
Yeah.
You've got uh, you got dirty freaking water. You've got all these fillers that they put in foods. I
Yeah.
don't know what your diet's like, but
Oh, I'm very clean, kind of out of necessity. I pretty much eat chicken and rice cooked in bone broth, a little bit of fruit and Greek yogurt, like no sugar Greek yogurt. I eat rice checks after I train because it's basically rice. Like I mean, if you look at the thing, it's not like sugary cereal. But yeah, I eat really clean now. But I'm getting plastics and fucking RuPaul's Drag Race is on in the background. So there's a lot of environmental factors, to decrease our testosterone. I think mine got fucked because I was suppressing my weight to be faster as a runner, which ultimately I shot myself in the foot for that. And I was running and doing so much endurance training like all through puberty. I really think that's probably what set me up to kind of be low T, but I'm sure it's also the environmental shit because they say, like on average as a population, testosterone levels are declining. Jordan
yeah.
Peterson could tell you about that. And it's mainly because we aren't cleaning our rooms. That's
I've never seen someone have a carousel horse in their room
yeah,
before.
yeah. I feel proud of it, even though it's not really mine. You've got the Steve Austin. You've got a good backdrop too, I've always thought.
Oh yeah,
Representative. Yeah,
that's never come. Like wherever I move,
absolutely
that's
not.
coming with me.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Yeah. Foundational to the
Other than,
childhood. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
other than in the beer drinking, this the Stone Cold character. That's he's a role model. Oh, and the woman.
Absolutely.
So no woman beating and no beer drinking, and then Stone Cold will be
Yeah.
okay with me. Yeah.
Stone Cold, but what is the fucking punk movement? Like the sober. I want to say Triple X, but that's a Vin Diesel movie. It's the
Straight edge.
straight edge. Yeah, yeah. So just
And
straight edge Steve Austin.
straight edge Steve Austin.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
I don't know. That's yeah. That's kind of like I don't know. That kind of reminds me of these like Christian people from I don't know what state, but they tried combining hip hop with Christianity, and it's called rapping for Jesus. That
Oh
would be
yeah.
the straight edge Steve Austin reminds me of rapping for Jesus.
Dude, there's a lot of Christian rap. There's
Yeah.
way more than you would think. And so it's pretty, it's a lot like Christian rock. So
Oh yeah, Striper.
yeah, there you go.
Well, I don't
What
really like it. I've heard it
yeah.
before.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what are like if you're gonna give us like your top three metal bands and your reasoning behind your choices, what would those be?
Well, the best metal band is Strapping Young Lad, and then
Okay.
that would be like you have to tie that with, because Devin Townsend has his solo act, which is still metal. Strapping Young Lad's a little more extreme, but I don't want to have Devin Townsend twice in the list. So
Sure.
Strapping Young Lad, Devin Townsend, although he writes all the music. So we'll say Devin Townsend is number
Okay.
one, and Judas Priest would be number two, and then Black Sabbath after that, just because
Wow.
Black
Okay.
Sabbath invented Black Sabbath started heavy metal. Tony Iommi, that sort of riff style.
Yeah.
Then Judas Priest kind of built off that. I mean, there's some
Uh-huh.
people in between, but Judas Priest kind of gave us like they kind of came with the blueprint
Yeah.
for uh, at least 80s metal. And
Mhm.
then Devin Townsend just took that a little further. He says that he wanted to be like, let's see, like, Wasp is to Motley Crue as Strapping Young Lad is to Fear Factory. So he wanted to be like a more
Okay.
intense
Yeah. Yeah.
factor.
Uh,
Okay. And so with Devin Townsend, is like lots of metal music is really they're trying to like check boxes. You know, you got to look mean, you got to do this, you got to
mhm.
do the angry soy face, okay, and you got to have long hair, and so you do this. You wear in the videos they always wear all like, especially now they're wearing all black, but for him, and then you got to write these lyrics, and you got to make this facial expression while you're delivering this line, and with him, none of that is. I believe when he sings lyrics or when he's screaming and when he's playing guitar, everything that he does to me is honest.
Mhm.
And even if I don't understand, like he has lots of abstract lyrics, even if I don't understand it, I know that he believes exactly what he's saying, and he's putting everything into
Yeah.
it. So it's the perfect balance between aggression, melody, and production.
Yeah.
Because some of the guys that they consider that it's like really intense, it sounds like total crap, or they try and make it sound like total crap, like black
Yeah.
metal.
Oh
Uh,
God. I'm glad you. Yes, I was going to ask you about that because that's just I really can't stand it.
yeah. Oh yeah, black metal's terrible. And
There, I will say, early Hellhammer and some Morbid. There's a few songs that I'm okay with.
yeah,
Celtic Frost, like a dying god coming into human flesh. I like that because it actually is a more Sabbath inspired riff. It's more like doom metal, and it's a lot more slow and heavy. And that's kind of what I gravitate towards personally. I like some faster stuff. I like some thrash. Like I can do some Slayer, but I really like that kind of lineage of Sabbath that you were touching on. And so there's a little bit of gems in there, but for the most part, those black metal. I mean, talk about like posturing too. The black metal guys with the face, the kabuki face and the fucking too tight jeans and their love handles hanging over the too tight jeans. They're all skinny fat. And they lived in Norway and they burned churches and they took a picture of their bassist after he blew his brains out, and that was the album cover. That's like every black metal band, not just one. That's every black metal band.
yeah. They follow the blueprint. Everyone's been doing the corpse paint photo,
Yeah.
and then they make more extreme. Like this one guy, he what the heck is he doing? He's got like a deformed hand or something like that. That's their band's gimmick. So I mean, you can
Okay.
still play black metal if you only have two fingers because it's just tremolo picking. It's not.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think that everyone's trying to go more extreme than Euronymous or Varg was back in
Yeah.
the 90s, but it ends up just being the same. Because if you're using the same riffs and you have the same look and the same lyrics, the same
Yeah.
like lyrical content, how the how are they gonna make anything different or make anything more extreme? Oh, we
Yeah.
just had the
Yeah.
blood. It's like Gorgoroth. They do their stage antics where they got the
Yeah.
pigs heads on sticks. Yeah, black metal's terrible. And it even gets to a point where it's like Varg. He said, Varg is right. That's the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
He said that he made it so that it was kind of like it's an esoteric thing, or only a few people are going to be able to enjoy this, and those are the true cult. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's where it originally came from because it's just especially. I mean, is like riffs and whatever, and the playing isn't so bad. Maybe it's a little sloppy, but the vocals are just so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone from a freaking mental institution is gonna identify
Yeah.
with that. But yeah, I don't. And then the lyrics are just stupid. It's some pagan stuff. It's like, oh, Christianity came to Norway, and then we became a bunch of sissies, and that ruined Norway.
And that whole black metal scene started out as 8 teenagers in Norway, like in a basement together, and so it was all petty. It was like high school Facebook shit or middle school Facebook drama contained in an entire music genre.
There's like I think every black metal fan knows like all of the history, and then I mean once you know the history, I don't know how you can still like the genre.
Right. Yeah, totally. But Devin Townsend is your god.
Well, I mean he's my like musical inspiration,
Yeah.
and he does so many. He doesn't just do like I mean lots of these other guys they got to do. He doesn't stick to just one thing, and he can do it all, and he means everything he's saying and he's doing.
Yeah.
He's had to make some albums out of like contractual obligations. Like when he did Strapping the Lad, he was two of the albums are kind of he wasn't really into them that much, but he had to do them because he had to do like 4 or 5 records with Century Media. In terms of that's my musical inspiration, and then I like classical music too, and some other stuff. In terms of metal, I tune into Nuclear Blast once in a while, and that's more like I want to see what the hell people are doing,
Yeah.
and it's mostly just crap,
Yeah.
just recycled crap. And the guys I'm always talking about in my videos, I got Devin Townsend, Sam Hyde, and then Stefan Molyneux. And
I'm not super familiar with Stefan Molyneux beyond your videos. Like I've seen plenty of Sam Hyde, and Devin Townsend, obviously. I'm
yeah,
familiar with him, but yeah. So that's your triumvirate of inspiration as a
for the
YouTuber.
most part. And then I pull from a few other people, but I can't think of anyone right now. Well, and Mark Rippetoe. Some guy,
Rippetoe. Yeah.
yeah, somebody said they commented on my video and they said why I'm a Rippetoe acolyte. And he said that Rippetoe's never been, isn't strong, and has never been strong. And so, like Rippetoe's, he's done like a 622 deadlift. These are all in competition 622 deadlift,
Yeah.
632 squat. And we know the starting strength form. Okay. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's the low bar, it's the crease of the hips go below the knee, your
Right.
back's over like this. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got your grip, you got the straight wrist.
Oh
Anyways,
yeah.
what's good form, okay? And then he bench press like 396 competition.
Mm.
So most people would consider that strong, especially
That's strong.
that was in the 80s
Yeah.
too. So the Sanders weren't what they are today because there's like not every like other 19-year-old is doing I don't know like a 800-pound sumo deadlift these days.
It's insane. The talent pool is just crazy.
Yeah, and so I mean, and then he says he figured I'd be more of a Louie Simmons guy. I'm not really too familiar with Louie Simmons, but after that, when I looked him up a little bit,
Louie Simmons is just Yosemite Sam. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then the other guy I mentioned was Jim Wendler, which is that's the 531 guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the 5-finger death punch of powerlifting, basically.
I'm not too familiar with that band.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, Louie Simmons, it's like equipped lifting, and it's the kind of the powerlifting method where you try to everyone's talking about maxing these days, like looks maxing, hair maxing, whatever, hand maxing. People are into like hand thickening training, and me, I do forehead maxing.
Right. Yeah.
But he does like range of motion minning. Okay.
Yes.
Minimizing the range of motion. You got to do sumo deadlift, sumo squat, and then for bench press, you got to take the widest grip you can. So you got a little bit of skin touching the one of the outer rings or whatever, and then it's also equipped on top of that. And so that to me is just like I mean, weightlifting isn't really all that graceful, but that would probably be the least graceful form, or at least aesthetically appealing form of it. I didn't look at Louie Simmons stuff from when he was younger. I saw him meet from when he was 62. Lots of these guys, they're in. I think that maybe equipped lifting is it's more niche and everybody knows each other. And so that's why the squat depth calls or the judging is really lax on those because
Yeah.
you know you upset your friends. Because I watched a few videos and these guys never hit freaking depth.
Inches above parallel, like the taint is well above your knees.
And then another thing is that you have the I can't remember what the term is, but if you just take genetic freaks, it's like Ivan Adbadjiev. He might not even be that good of a coach, but if you or NFL coaches, the strength and conditioning coaches, they have all genetic freaks, and so those genetic freaks make them look good. You can have these guys with like 45-inch verticals, you know, and they can be doing like goofy ass shit, and then but then you see, you know, and they have super speed, you know, they're earning like new records for touchdowns and whatever, and then you know makes the strength and conditioning coach look good. But I mean, anyone you could have had the yoga instructor having those guys. The yoga instructor could have been their coach, and they probably would still be almost as good.
Yeah.
So, and that's these like Russian coaches too. You've got like Shako's training program where he has all these numbers, which to me just seem arbitrary. But since you have this incredible talent pool, you can have people doing all these numbers, and you can pretend that your program has been, you know, carefully planned. Okay. Right. Carefully planned. You select this number, you do 88% for 2 sets of 3, and then you know later in the day you do like 82. You do like 75% for 5 sets of 4, something like that. And then Louie Simmons is kind of like that because apparently he didn't. I mean, those guys are training; they're training hard, but apparently you couldn't even get into the gym because it was some sort of invite only thing. You couldn't get into the gym unless you had like a 1,900-pound total or something like that.
Yeah. So it's self-select. I do wonder if that person was talking more about the mindset. All those Westside guys were really aggressive when they lifted. And I mean, you get kind of guttural. You're in there, you know, and you're screaming. Half of that rep is coming up because of your diaphragm, sort of like releasing your kind of grunts.
Well, yeah, I definitely like Rippetoe doesn't. He says you shouldn't listen to music. You should be focused on the lift. But the music kind of it's like bar to bar, right? So yeah, the music it hypes you up, and then you know, and I think everyone who lifts heavy weight basically has some sort of like emotional trauma or something.
Sure.
And so you know, later Wheels talks about this, and he says he goes to a dark place. And for me, I think about these things. I think about the world and how you know there's terrible shit, and I think about my own life, things you know in the past, and that you know just makes me probably most of the time just pissed off. And so then I use that when I'm weightlifting. And it's definitely you have to get intense. You have to get intense because it's like you're going to battle. I mean, if you think of I don't there's no relaxed people, or maybe there is, but then that's going to be sort of their gimmick. It's going to be like the Buddha weightlifter. The Colin Wang is probably like that. The guy who's always like, "Oh, elite lifter goes to commercial gym. Look at people's reaction." And he's so if you can be chill if you've benched 500 pounds for a double, and this is your like 50th time doing that.
But he wouldn't be chill if he were trying to double 550 or you know hit 600, right? That's the point. Yeah. So whenever you're pushing to a high effort level, you probably need to access something. You know, you don't need smelling salts whenever you were molested when you were 12. So you just reach back, you grab that, and you huff that. You know, you get under the bar.
Well, and then another thing is like, you know, I think I bring in like the football. I remember the football attitude where it's like, you know, you want to be a pussy, all right? And so it's especially if I had Chad out there with me, it's like, well, I got to at least try this.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, Chad's going to think I'm a pussy.
Totally.
I don't know if I'm a pussy. I don't know if he would think I was a pussy, but I in my mind, I just believe that he's going to think I'm a pussy.
You can't let your brother think you're a pussy. That's informed most of the decisions I've made in my own life.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's not necessarily that's kind of a good outlook in life, and unless you're doing something really stupid. But weightlifting, like we established before, is pretty safe. It's just that, you know, the catback guys and the Indian guys doing like leg press with 2,000 pounds who get their knees hyperextended. Or I saw an Indian guy, he was doing a leg press with a tractor. He put his heels in the rim and he was laying on the ground, and he lifted it up on the one wheel came off the ground on like 6 inches, and then his knee folded back like an ostrich.
Or how about those guys who like tie weights to their dicks? Have you seen that shit? And then they like stand up, and they're like standing on two platforms and the weight's down here and they stand up and they lift it with like their penis somehow. Well, they lift it when it's attached to their penis. They lift it with their legs, but their penis is what's getting,
Oh, where do you find
trauma.
these videos?
Maybe I'm in the wrong corner of the maxing internet.
Yeah, I know that there's like guys that do hanging exercises.
Yeah.
That's usually like a lighter weight for an extended duration, but
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody like doing like, let's say they tie like, well, I don't know what weights they're doing, what, like 50 pounds, they tie that to their glands, they wrap that around their glands and they stand up with it. They do, what is that? It's like a knoblet squat.
Knoblet squat. There you go. Yeah. Put that in the exercise tutorial library. A knoblet squat.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely people out there doing that at the expense of their penile tissue, I guess.
Anything for clicks, right? Remember, there's that Russian guy that's his whole body. I don't. He's like half silicone and oil. He's got a girlfriend still, so I mean, I guess it's not. I think she's like attached for the clout, the sort of notoriety that's around him. But yeah, people in the age of the internet, I'm sure there's people like this before because you got other people that are kind of destroying their bodies, like Marilyn Manson, for example. They're destroying their body for attention. But in the age of the internet, it's gotten pretty bad.
The Jackass guys kind of preempted that, doing those stunts. I mean, there is a little bit more wholesomeness to that, I think, but you're above that. And you spoke about your inspirations. And you know what? As a YouTuber, you're my inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, man. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your Canadian weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Take it easy.